BabyBrains Conference 2023 on bonds. We're talking this year, we're really focusing, zooming in about on relationships. Relationships that binds, in the most obvious way, a baby with their parent, but then also parents with their community. And then we've seen also how different children, as they grow up, they can be bound together in different ways. And now we're exploring a new link. At BabyBrains, we've noticed many times over the last 10 years that looking at science for parents is a really personal experience, and that it often opens up questions that cannot be answered with science. It really kind of points us towards things that we need to jump there. There is something spiritual that needs to happen, some answers that are asked by science and that can only be answered otherwise. And so this is why today we have our wonderful guest, Isabelle Coffinet, here today from Fondation La Cause. She is an amazing friend as well. But most importantly, she's here today because she's a pastor, and she is also the directress of the part of La Cause that deals with families and relationships. And so we really want to hear from you today here, Isabelle. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you.
It's really wonderful to have you here, and as part of this conference, you've come to London as well in February, and it was great to have you there as well to focus and think about relationships, and from all those interactions. We've been talking a lot, thinking even more probably, and having a lot of fun together as well. Because we've noticed that spirituality and science do have more in common than people tend to think. We tend to see them as kind of opposed fields out there. And so if you do science, you don't do spirituality. And if you do spirituality, you don't do science. And they're enemies. But there is at least one thing that they do have in common, science and spirituality, and it is wonder, amazement, that kind of wow feeling that is there. So what is wonder from a spiritual point of view? What is awe feeling like? Which place does it take?
So, what a question. I can't tell you about all the spiritual beliefs that exist in the world, of course. I believe in an almighty God, and that changes to me everything. I believe in a purpose in everything that is created as well. So, of course, we don't always use what is given to us in a perfect way, but I think when you believe in something bigger, especially in a bigger understanding that created our world, you are related to a permanent feeling that everything is worth it. My brain, its potential, its functioning, and even cognitive bias. Do you say that like we say it in French, cognitive bias? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Even that, even that is here for a reason. I believe it. Yeah. And my stuff is to discover why, and that is the spiritual part. The sense of everything. Science don't give it. It's just a wonder, and then what can I do with this? But there is another thing. There is the bigger understanding. But I believe that there is love at the very beginning of creation. Not only understanding, a bigger understanding, but a bigger love. So spiritual wonder is just, to me, the confidence that even if things don't happen like I want them to be, there is a good plan for everyone. And I believe it. And my relations, my life, my dreams can be transformed by this confidence. So yes.
Yeah, I think this makes us think, because as parents, we do get to that limit and to that yeah, things go not the way we want a lot. At least I don't know if it's just my experience, but I guess especially when we become parents, maybe after having studied and had a career where we were used to be in charge of how our life goes, and our success kind of depends on that. It depends on how we are master of our own life. And then this little creature comes around, and all of a sudden the rules of the game are completely different. um, it's really impossible to control. It's really obvious that we are not the master of our own lives. And maybe in a situation where we really would love to be, because we love this new person, we love this baby, we think we are ready to do anything for them, we want to give them the best, like the motivation is there, it's just the ability is lacking completely. And so I believe, for me at least, becoming a parent was a huge moment of like, okay, no, you are not in charge. And so having this belief that you shared with us of, there is a purpose, there is a God that is potent, he can do everything he wants to do, and he, if he decides to do things this way, he has a good reason. And maybe I don't get that now, but it's okay. It really changes completely the way we can approach parenting. Do you think there is a link between this and then science? So the fact that maybe scientific wonder is more something whereby we notice how amazing things are. We notice how beautiful something is, or how complex something is. For me, seeing a baby in the first weeks, how they every day they learn something new, they acquire something new, they, I can feel my love physically expanding in my chest. I don't know, it's really very strong. And I'm like, wow, this is something even more beautiful than a beautiful scenery or a beautiful sea, the sunset. I don't know, it's so complex and so difficult to understand that that the scientific part of me goes like, wow, that's, wow, where does that come from? Like, how how is this even possible? And yeah, and so for me, I see a link there with the spiritual wonder. Does it
Yeah.
make sense to you?
To me, it makes sense, but I'm not a scientist. I don't know if everybody is yes feels it like this, or is it um, because you are already believing in something. I don't know. Perhaps I think so that there is a link, but I guess if you are a scientist, there is something in your research that you might consider beautiful. No, yes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so perhaps
For sure.
yes, perhaps some people just get some intellectual satisfaction out of science, perhaps, and perhaps why not? Some scientists only look after a way to control others and know everything of them. I don't. There are some people like this. But in fact, I believe there are more scientists that just love to wonder about how beautiful things are made. And according to my experience, the willingness to understand how the world is made and how it functions is an expression of the love of life in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, from this point of view, yeah, you're right. Everybody goes a very different journey, and yeah, personally for me, my journey has been very, yeah, starting from a very yeah. I used to think when I had my first baby, I used to think that all the psychological and all the emotions that we feel are a lovely byproduct of life, and now I kind of came to turn it round, and for me that's the center, and the rest um it's, we live for those relationships because there is a meaning, a bigger
Mm,
meaning
mm,
to everything, and our mission, our task here during this life is related to those relationships that we have with other people. So it's interesting, like how motherhood really kind of pivoted this around, and it was the occasion for me to look at the bigger picture. But you're right, some people, it can be the opposite, that uh, there can be also different motives why we look into things, and but in any case, what we have as an experience, both from science, from spirituality per se, and from parenting, there are things that we don't understand and things that we can find beautiful, that just go beyond us, and how we deal with them, then every one of us is on a very, very different journey. And so to address all those kind of topics, to give space to wondering, to marveling at the beauty of the creation, beauty of, I don't know, I think it's very fascinating to look at the behavior of a baby, um, or the brain, how the brain really develops, how the relationship between parents and baby can develop. Like taking time to look to these things, I seem to be a very exciting way to then go and talk about spiritual facts or spiritual theories, spiritual things as well. And so that's what we've been doing together in the last academic year. It's been a few months now, right? So we've taken BabyBrains as a kind of just to start the conversation, and we've put together this little series of 6 topics, of 6 sessions that we've delivered here in France in 2 different churches. And for instance, we started talking about memory, and this has led us to the theology of grace, so of how we receive things as a present, right? And so maybe from a point of view, like without talking more about it, there could seem to very different topics. But while we were discussing with all these people, it actually gave rise to really lively and very deeply felt conversation. So how was it for you to have this kind of conversation going on in between science and spirituality, theology?
So I think people. I just had a little connection problem with the connection, so I'm not sure. I really get your question. Can you just repeat so I'm sure?
Yeah. No, it was more like kind of trying to share your point of view about the experience of delivering La Cause des Parents in these 2 different communities, and how the dialogue between science and spirituality has happened for you personally, and then your impression about what the parents and non-parents present reacted to it.
Yeah, to me it was really exciting and really fascinating, because I didn't know something about neuroscience. So it's just the friendship with you that introduces me to all this marvelous universe, and so it was a great experience to me, because the links, I made the links really easily. So in my case, it was really easy to make the links between my experience as a parent, my experience as a human in this world, my all the stuff that is going on in my brain, and God, it was really easy to me. But yes, I saw people that as well wanted to make connections between all these areas, and they were very they had a deep curiosity to know how can we connect this neuroscience and faith? How is it possible? So there was a lot of curiosity in our groups, and I saw many beautiful things, and you can tell me if you saw it too. But I saw that the people really was wondering about how they are made. So that's the basis, how they are made. And that's a huge, beautiful part of this adventure, to understand how the brain is made, to understand how we connect with children, and how the children want to connect with us in everything, till the very beginning, to understand that Christian theology confirm a lot of things that we discovered with science. This encouraged a lot of the people that they were with us. No? Did you
Yeah,
feel like this?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And what I noticed as well from from having seen several of these workshops in the past without the spiritual part, it was really exciting to see how there is nourishment in there, in the you can, there is a level of trust and a level of enjoyment of the beauty of what we have, that is very different when it's put in a context of faith. There is all that fear and anxiety that really characterizes much of parenting, finds some sort of soothing space in faith. Again, it doesn't make things easier at all, but while in science we focus a lot on the how, and I love focusing on the how because it just shows me how amazing things are, and so I really love that. But then with spirituality, with faith, we can dare think about the why.
Mm.
And then once we have this idea of why we are doing things,
Yeah.
the how all over a sudden takes on a very different role, and it shines even more in a way. We can really see how beautiful uh, this all is, and how big our part is that we get to play, and yet how we are in good hands, we are in safe hands. We also have the right to fail, and that's
Yeah.
part of the game as well. And I think that was something that was really probably
The-
different in La Cause des Parents as compared to BabyBrains, that there's, yeah, I can fail as much as I want, and that's why I'm here. I think that was a very special part of it for me as well.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. The power of forgiveness is very central in Christian faith, and so it changes a lot of things. But we often forget it because it becomes a theory and not practicing in our parenting. And we saw that it was really, really deep in the sharing that yeah, we are forgiven, and we can forgive ourselves, and we can forgive our children, and our children can forgive all the failures and the fact that we are not a perfect parent, and it's okay. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, and I think this really came out very powerfully, and I think it's something we had lots of really encouraging reviews, right, from the parents that participated. It seemed, and parents and non-parents, because we should say that as well. We had
Yes.
a lot of interest from people that are not parents at all, and also in particular lots of men
Yep.
came. So it's interesting because we just had the meeting with our trainers, BabyBrains trainers, and there we saw that our statistics, I think we have 98.7% moms. And the stats was very different in
Wow.
in La Cause des Parents, what we did together. It was very different. We had almost half. I think it was half.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
think so.
yeah, you could see that yeah. And this was very interesting in itself, and very encouraging, because it was really, we say so often that it takes a village to raise a child, and I really had the impression we had the village there. We had everyone.
Mm.
We had the parents, we had the grandparents, we had younger people, we had people that are already grandparents, female, male, and everyone really left some really positive and encouraging feedback. So it seems that we don't need to be scared to put together science and spirituality. It seems that there is a lot in there to um, that can nurture each other.
Mm.
And as you say, sometimes bring things to life, both in science and in faith. Sometimes then we get used to things, and we kind of, they become a bit lifeless. They become something that we know in theory, but that we don't really connect with in our practice, in what we do every day.
Mm.
And I think La Cause des Parents was really a good occasion to bring things to life, both sides.
Yes, and to see the other parents are dealing with the same stuff than us. So it was really, the sense of community was really there, and it was really beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, definitely a good experiment that we're really happy to have done, and really excited about continuing over the next year. And we'll definitely keep you posted on how we will go with this connection between neuroscience and spirituality in France for now, but we're ready to go anywhere. And so with this, I wish I really want to say thank you, Isabelle, for coming today, and in general for interacting with us in such a beautiful, open-minded, and enthusiastic way. It's really a pleasure to work with you, and we hope to have you here back soon.
I hope so, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Isabelle. Bye.